Here you are from Raleigh, North Carolina, and watching that whole video this morning, Clay, I mean, you have an incredibly compelling story. But my question is this, sir. Is a compelling personal story a qualification to get elected? Does that suffice?
No, I don't think it does. I do think that that story qualifies me in the sense that I understand that we all go through issues. We all go through struggles in life, and they make us who we are. And we learn from them. And for that reason, I think empathy and caring for the people who you represent is a really important qualification for Congress. You know, as a society, we have decided that lawyers and whatnot should be the people in Congress, but we see what that's gotten us so far. So I think understanding constituents and caring about them and their needs should be the most important qualification.
We'll get to Congress here in just a minute, but I want you, just for people who haven't seen the video, just remind all of us your backstory with your mom and your dad.
You know, my birth father was struggled with alcoholism and could be violent, and my mother and I lived in some ways sort of on the run from him for a year or so when I was really young. And you know, I don't think my story is while the details may be slightly different than some people. My story is not that different from other people who have gone through things that have made them who they are, made them stronger. But I think as a country we have gone through enough difficult times that have made us strong, and it's time to get back to a place where we're going through positive times.
Let's talk about this run for Congress. I've been reading reports, Clay Aiken, that you've been out and about meeting with donors. Who recruited you to run?
No one recruited me to run. I took this upon myself about a year ago after getting really frustrated with some of the dysfunction in Washington and being frustrated with the fact that the representative who now serves me, I had been redistricted into a different district than I had been in. I didn't believe was listening to the people. I think honestly, I do believe that she went to Washington because she wanted to do good for people. But when she got there, in my opinion, she started listening to leaders in her party instead of the people at home, and that's evidence in some of her votes.
You are referring to Congresswoman Renee Elmers, and what I've read, this district redder than red. But you know, in this video, you clearly talk about her. You highlight the government's dysfunction. You mentioned the government shutdown, and also specifically military benefits. These are two issues. Explain your biggest frustration with this Congresswoman that you are ultimately hoping to unseat.
Listen, I don't think that it is redder than red. Listen, polls and whatnot can show us that, but I don't think anybody lives on one end of the political spectrum or the other. Everyone lives somewhere in the middle, but I think people in Congress nowadays, especially my opponent, have tended to go onto one side or the other, and they don't listen because they feel they're safe in their districts, and they don't listen to their constituents. In our district specifically, Fort Bragg, one of the largest and most important military installations in the country, is based in this district. And yet, you know, some of the votes that Congresswoman Elmers has taken have directly affected negatively the people at military families and military members. And that's frustrating because that says she's not listening. That says that there's not a connect, apparently, between what she's doing and the way it affects people's lives in this district.
Congresswoman Elmers has said this, and I'm sure you've seen this with regard to your run. Apparently, his performing career is not going well, so he's very bored. Not to mention, she is a two-term incumbent. She is a Republican in a red state and a woman. Clay Aiken, I mean, I know Simon Cowell is one thing, but this is a Congresswoman mocking you. Welcome to politics. Your reaction to that?
Well, you know, I've said before, I think that politics is the only place in the world where one person's success depends on another person's failure. And so for that reason, unfortunately, we see people go into Congress now who are specifically trying to tear the other person down instead of working to do something positive. And that's why we have a problem. No one's going to try to do anything effective and positive. Instead, everyone, both parties, spend all their time knocking the other side down to try to win by making the other person lose. I think, you know, I've heard plenty of criticisms over the past 10 years. I'm certainly not bothered by criticisms towards me, but I'm bothered by the idea that this is how we are supposed to be getting things done in this country, by critiquing other people instead of doing positive things.